Good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of the SOAR Focus Summit in Hazard, Kentucky. My name is Monique Quarterman. I proudly serve as the Deputy Executive Director for Kentucky Innovation, and I am joined here today for this resource roundtable by some fantastic panelists that I have the pleasure of working with through SOAR. And so very briefly, I'd like to introduce you to them. We have Mr. Rodney Cool from Kentucky Small Business Development Center. We have Amanda Kelly from Scad, and we also have Les Roll from Mountain Association. In a moment, they will tell you a little bit more about their centers and the work that they do, but let me start by framing our discussion today. Our discussion really focuses on all of the wonderful entrepreneurship and innovation resources that are available throughout Eastern Kentucky. It is really important on a state strategy and on a national strategy to have access to resources in your community to be able to access and build your business. I'm so grateful for each of these panelists, for all of the wonderful service that they pour into community, and to be able to celebrate those big wins, right? The big wins that we hear from small businesses in our community a lot of times are results of the wonderful collaborations between the folks on this panel. And so with that, I will jump right in and ask Mr. Rodney Cool to describe his organization and some of the work that he does.
Thank you, Monique. Appreciate it. You facilitating us for this morning, and everybody, welcome again to the SOAR Summit. But the Kentucky Small Business Development Center is hosted by the University of Kentucky, and we are a federally grant-funded program through the SBA, so University of Kentucky applies for that grant, which allows us to provide our services at no charge to our clients. So that's a big savings when we are working with them, that they are not having to pay a fee for anything. So, but the SBDC is what we call it for short. We got 13 service centers across the state of Kentucky, and of which 5 of them are actually in eastern and southern Kentucky, with Berea, London, Middlesboro, Moorhead, and Paintsville for our areas here. So, you know, anybody close to those, that you would just choose whichever center you're closest to. The Small Business Development Centers are a network of business coaches, and we assist our clients in whatever stage they are at in their business. So they could be a startup needing business assistance with a business plan, financial forecasting, market analysis, all kinds of things. And then if you're an existing business, then we help you also in needing to get funding. We can help you with that financial forecasting as well, because typically a funder wants to see, if they buy a piece of equipment, what that's going to do to their bottom line. So we help with that. Like I said, our no-cost, confidential, one-on-one servicing ranges in all kinds of different areas. I always tell people we're kind of a one-stop shop, really broad kind of services that we provide. Another thing that we're really working hard on these next year or two is 2 things. One being exporting. So exporting requires a tremendous amount of planning, and so we actually have a team dedicated to international trade and exporting. So if you have someone in your community that would make a good business to export across the world, you know, we got a team dedicated to that, because when you really got a product or a service, and I'm always amazed at this statistic, when you do that and you're only doing it in the United States, you're only working with 5% of the people that are consumers to that. So we got 95% of the world that you can expand to. So that's the other big kicker for me, is it's hard to fathom that you're only 5%. The other thing is we're working very hard too with our communities with what we call creative economies, travel and tourism. That's another specialized team. All of those team members are typically some type of creative economy through social media. Artists, they draw, they write, they do things, you know, to help that creative economy. And then what we kind of do is we work with your community, take a temperature gauge of where you're at and what you can do in order to expand on those areas.
That's fantastic, Rodney. Thank you. Amanda, tell me a little bit more about Scad.
Absolutely. Thank you, Monique. Scad is the Southeast Kentucky Economic Development Corporation. We are located in Somerset, but cover 45 counties in eastern Kentucky. We're a staff of 8.5, so we travel a lot and we get to see a lot of different places, which is awesome. But we're a CDFI, which is a community development financial institution. So we do small business loans. And we're a non-traditional lender, and what that means is we look at things a little bit differently than how the banks look at them. We tend to take the loans that the banks can't handle or don't want to handle. So we're who the bank calls when they need somebody else to look at something and maybe build up that business to where they are bankable. And that's kind of where my role comes in as the small business training director. It's my job to work with our clients to get them what they need to be successful, to grow their business, to add employees, to help the economy, to grow the region. And we do that through a number of programs. We do it through individual technical assistance, where I work one-on-one with our clients, and even people that are not our clients, I provide technical assistance to. So I'll work with some clients, I'll work with weekly, depending on what they need. Some clients I work with once a year. It really depends on where the client is and what they want. We also have a number of training programs that we've put together. We do a training program called SMARTS, which basically teaches people how to start a small business plan and to come up with their business idea, to package it up, to do their financials. We've taught that in the area since about 2013. And have over 500 people that have gone through it and absolutely love it. And then we created BBoss Online, which is a digital marketing training program for small businesses. It helps the small businesses get what they need to understand how to do their Google business listing, how to build their website, what does cybersecurity look like for a small business, how to handle all of the different social medias and SEO and targeting ads and things like that. And it's done in a super simple way to get the clients the information they need to get in, get out, get done, so that they can move on to the next thing. So BBoss Online is free for everybody in Kentucky, and anybody who wants to take advantage of that, I've got a table right through there. Come see me, I can get you signed up. It's all video-based, but we also teach it in person. We also do REAL, which is Recovery Entrepreneurship Elevating Lives, where I teach small business planning and digital marketing to folks that are working through recovery, so that when they get out, they can start their own business, which I love that project, absolutely. And then we have SEED, which is Supplier Education and Economic Development. So we are helping manufacturers get what they need to do the bigger DoD, Department of Defense contracts, get ISO certified and things like that. So we have a lot going on.
That is fantastic, and starting to get a much fuller picture of all of the awesome resources we have right here in Eastern Kentucky. Go ahead and put that cherry on the top with Mountain Association, Les. Tell us more about what you do.
Sure, thank you. So Mountain Association is a 45-year-old CDFI, much like Scad. We're a non-traditional lender. We have 3 primary client-facing programs. The first one is our lending program. We make loans from $1,000 to several $1 million for almost any business purpose, and for a variety of uses in a variety of industries. And that's been amazing to be able to work with clients and businesses on their startup needs, equipment acquisition, real estate acquisition, permanent working capital, whatever those needs may be. We have that opportunity, and as a CDFI, the opportunity to be really creative in how we meet the needs of clients who may not necessarily be able to or ready to access traditional financing from a bank or from other sources, or may not have access to the friends and family money that we all know that it takes to really help get startups off the ground. We also have a robust business support services program. In our industry, it's called technical assistance, but business support services, I think, more accurately frames what it is. We work with a lot of folks who have really perfected their service skill, but need help with their business skills. They're great barbers. They don't know how to manage cash flow. They need help with marketing. They want to know how to have an online presence, whatever those things are. And so we have this program that connects entrepreneurs and businesses in need with consultants who are experts in those fields. And we work with them, they get to identify, we have consultants on a list. They can pick and choose and figure out who's right for them. They can work with that person to really accomplish their goal and their need to help their business thrive. And we're really blessed to be able to offer that program. We can often pay 75% or more of the cost of that consultant, so it's not just connecting them, but it's also making sure that it's accessible to the entrepreneur. And I think one of the more creative things that we have is client-facing is we have a robust energy program. Mountain Association has engineers and folks on staff who are experts in energy use, energy efficiency, and energy management. And so what that means is that we are able to go out and work with businesses on, as CDFIs and as folks that support businesses, there's only so much we can do to help a business increase their revenue. What our energy program allows us to do is address reducing their costs, their overhead costs. And oftentimes that can have a more significant impact on their bottom line than just increasing their revenues. If you're a grocery store, there's only so many boxes of Wheaties you can sell, but if you can reduce the cost of the electricity you need, that reduces the number of those boxes of Wheaties you've got to sell in the local community and generate more revenue and save some of that. And so that's been really key. We have energy efficiency work, identifying opportunities for that, whether that's lighting, cooling, refrigeration, variety of things. We also have developed a solar program, working with businesses across the Appalachian region to get commercial solar installed for them to generate power and offset the costs of their electric bills. And parallel with that, and this comes back to that creativity of being a CDFI, we've been able to come in with the loan products to make those accessible and affordable for our businesses. So for instance, we have energy efficiency microloan program that starts at 5% for 5 or 6 years to let folks make energy efficiency improvements to their business. We have a solar loan product that is 4% fixed for up to 20 years to help make the cost of that solar less than the savings that they're going to see on their electric bills from the installation of that solar. And we have the expertise on staff to work with the entrepreneurs and the businesses to make those things work in ways so that the business owner isn't scrambling to figure out, all right, I don't know anything about this, how do I do this? We have folks on staff who can help businesses with those needs and with that expertise. And so that's just really cool.
Thank you, Les. That is very cool. And it's so fortunate to have multiple opportunities in this region. Equitable access to capital is so important. It's so important for a business, but there are also aspects of building a business in a region that need training and need support. And so it's so wonderful that each of you offer that as well. That's equally important in my opinion. Tell me a little bit about, areas where you all get to work together, because I imagine that there are going to be some businesses in the community that need a whole lot of help. And with a whole lot of, having a need for a whole lot of help is perfectly fine when you have a great united community of entrepreneurship support organizations. Can you provide any examples of maybe some ways that you all have collaborated?
I can just absolutely right off the bat, I can tell you that as a lender, the first thing we're going to want to know is, how is this business going to work? When you come to us and say, I need capital for my business, it's the best thing ever, we need to see something that justifies the best thing ever part. Trust me when I say we believe you, but we need to see something that we can work from that. And Rodney and his team at the SBDC is absolutely vital. Frankly, from a selfish perspective, if we could have SBDC staff in every county in Appalachia, it would be amazing. Because the opportunity for entrepreneurs and would-be entrepreneurs, and just frankly for the community at large, to have access to business coaching, business planning consulting, and those sorts of things that we as lenders can't necessarily offer, that's vital, that's key, and could really change the culture of entrepreneurship in our region.
And I teach people how to write business plans, but if we're going to do the funding, I can't do that. Mm-hmm. They have to have a business plan that is apart from us. So, just recently, I had a gentleman he came in, wanted a business loan, and he had no business plan, he had no financials, he had no anything. So I said, listen, you gotta talk to Rodney. You gotta get with him, we gotta have a business plan, I need some projections. I can't do it because there's a conflict of interest. So we've got to work together to get those different components in place to make this work.
Yeah, it's definitely a two-way street, Monique. So I have people that come to me first saying, I've got this great business I want to try. I need the business plan because I know the bank or the lender is going to ask for it. And then that conversation turns to, are you working with a lender yet? And if not, then through just our discussions over a couple of times, I'll figure out which one is probably the better fit for them to work with. People think that we're probably trying to do stuff outside of each other, but really we can't do what we can do without each other. So we collaborate constantly. I mean, I'm on the phone pretty regular with all of the lenders, and not just my CDFI friends, but our local banks as well. And they're the same way. Sometimes they are wanting to do a project, or the bank is wanting to do a project, and they need a partner in that as well. They'll reach out to the CDFIs and help make that loan. They'll participate out that loan. And so, but yeah, I mean, we're collaborative people way more than we are trying to be not to help each other
I don't think any
all
of
the time.
us, we don't have the staff to be able to do everything.
Yeah, and see, that's another thing with ours with SBDC. I think we've got 28 business coaches. So they've got 4 or 5. You've only got a total staff of 8. So there's only 2 of you.
Two of
So
us
you can see where the demand gets overwhelming for them. And they can actually send it to me, and I may farm it out to somebody. I mean, our business coaches, we cover the entire state. So they may actually have a business coach that they help with the business planning that may be actually in Western Kentucky. And they'll work via Zoom or whatever we have to do to make it work. But yeah, we can help facilitate helping them get through the process.
That's such a good point, Rodney, because in thinking about the work that we do at the Kentucky Cabinet for Economic Development, a lot of our state incentives are dependent on another community player being involved. So I think about our collateral support program for small business to access lending. It has to come through a participating lender. I also think about some of the tax credits that we do in regards to raising angel investment and raising investment fund tax credits. It requires sort of access to that investor community where it requires a whole lot of communication and community trust. Shout out to Dave Shadburn in the audience. I worked with him at Park Community Credit Union, where I was introduced a lot to CDFIs and how they work. It was fantastic to see how CDFIs really navigate and promote community trust. And that's so important, right? Especially in serving underserved communities. Can you tell me a little bit about, what's in it for each of your organizations? I'll actually start with Les, but I even remember, Rodney, when working with SBDC in Louisville, you all had like a millionaires club or something of helping the startups to access up to $1 million in capital. Tell us, what drives your organizations to really do this work?
Monique, I really think that it's just the opportunity to help nurture and create opportunities in these communities. I think, obviously for Mountain Association, we are very interested in supporting all 54 counties that we work in. We are very interested in seeing the region thrive and grow and succeed on a very personal level. I got kids. Like, y'all, I know that a number of folks from yesterday had never been in Perry County before, never been in Hazard. I manage our office here in Hazard. I've grown up in this community. My wife and I returned here. we're raising our children here. And I can tell you flat out that the work that we do on a daily basis to nurture these communities and help make sure that there are businesses and entrepreneurs that are successful and things going on is entirely because if there's something that I can do to help the community that is helping me raise my children, I am absolutely going to do it. I want my children to have the opportunity to grow up in the community that nurtured me when I was a child. And that is just absolutely priceless. And again, it speaks to the nature of the region that we serve. It's a network of small towns and tight-knit family and family of communities. I mean, my kids are, the reception last night and Thursdays on the Triangle was going on. Typically, my kids are roaming the streets, playing around, running around, and they'll go visit Hazard Coffee Company at the booth. And Stephen knows, all right, they can have a drink, nothing with caffeine, please nothing with caffeine, Stephen. And they go to Shenanigans, who is one of our loan clients in a business that I think is providing lunch for us today. We'll often be selling food at these community events. And Michelle knows, all right, Silas is hungry, well, here's a sandwich. And I go around at the end of the night and I settle up, and I got a village of people that there's probably no fewer than 50 people in any given community gathering that will tell my children to not play in the street. These are the things that absolutely drive me every day. These are my friends, these are my family, these are my neighbors.
Yeah.
How could we do anything else?
Absolutely, that's so important. And I really like how you illustrate it, right? Because it's important to be part of the community and provide the service and be part of being a Kentuckian and providing these services. It's one of the things that I really appreciate about SBDC because with it being in part a federally funded program, they make it intentional to bring in people that are in the state, in the communities. Can you tell me a little bit about what's in it for you, Rodney?
Well, for us, it truly is a passion for just helping small business owners. So by design, all of our business coaches are currently small business owners or entrepreneurs, or they have been small business owners and entrepreneurs. So all 28 of us are working by day doing this, and then at night we're managing other businesses, our own businesses. And so that's really is by design. And so every small business owner, I believe, has it in their heart to help other small business owners. And so our passion is that exact same passion that carries our mission forward, that we just want to help. And just like Les says, we have a need. For me, it's a need to help my Eastern Kentucky family. My family's from Letcher County, even though I live in Corbin, Kentucky. But, I've started coming to Letcher County to hopefully help spur some entrepreneurs who maybe didn't realize that they had a free resource in order to get started. If nothing else, we start a conversation with them and work on it from there to get them to maybe where the door is actually open. So for us, it's ingrained in us to be passionate about helping others, and that's what we do every single day.
That's fantastic. And I didn't know that, Tim, that they are either current or former entrepreneurs. It really helps to paint a full picture of why it's so important to these awesome counselors and why they're so passionate about the advice that they give community. Tell me a little bit more, Amanda, with the ground you cover, what's in it for you? What do you gain from it?
I love working with our clients and helping them realize and get to what their vision is, what their dream is. I'm the outsider here. I'm from up north. I didn't grow up in Kentucky, but
we love you anyway.
Yeah, well, thank you. I came down here to go to school, and I fell in love with the area. I've lived here longer now than I've lived anywhere else. So, I mean, this is home, and I love seeing. I get to work with different people every day. Different industries, different places, no day is the same. And I get to make a difference. I can call somebody and we can talk about something, they can implement it, and then they call me back and say, look, we were able to do this. And that happens with the technical assistance, but that really happens with the recovery project, where we're teaching entrepreneurship in the recovery centers. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, I don't even have words to explain how great that project is and how big of a difference it's making. I mean, we've gone through 3 rounds of it, and I've had 75 folks come through it. And at the end of the day, they've put together a business pitch. They've pitched the idea. They now know the process of starting their own business. It gives them another opportunity. And it's just the ability to help people and to make a difference in their lives.
To expand on one thing real quick.
Please do.
What Amanda said is she said that, she talks to people and they kind of vet through that. So, we work a lot with single member owners. They don't have a board of directors.
Right.
They don't have a management team that they can pitch stuff off of or talk to about. So there's lots of times I get a text or a call at 9 o'clock at night that says, yeah, it's early, that says, I'm thinking about trying this with my business. What do you think? And so, I don't make your business decision. I will throw at you, though, the pros and cons of that, and then it's left up to the business owner. But while most time the spouses are supportive, a lot of times you can't talk business with your spouse when you're not involved.
They know just as much about it or less than the entrepreneur.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. So a lot of times ours is that sounding board that they need.
Yep.
And luckily for me, if it's something I can't answer, I've got these 27 other people that I call on or send an email to and say,
because we
call each other.
Yeah.
And just say, hey, what's your thought on something like this? And so we do really help a client as much as we possibly can. We take it way to the extreme. Like I said, it's 9 or 10 o'clock. Yeah, it's really all about the client, period. What's good for them.
Yep.
And I want to add just real
Yes,
quick
please.
that, one, Rodney, you're absolutely right. I tell people all the time, I work wherever I'm going. If I'm at the grocery store, people stop me and say, hey, Les, I was thinking about this, or hey, I need to talk to you. And I'm like, all right, let's just do it right now. My kid's sleeping in the cart. Let's go. At church, wherever we happen to be. But, a lot of our conversation has been about getting business plans or getting access to capital. And I want to just clarify that's not entirely about gatekeeping. That's not necessarily about protecting, our financial resources or anything of that nature. I mean, there are pieces of that, but it is in large part about making sure that our entrepreneurs and our clients and the people that we're working with know what they're getting into, that they're able to set themselves up for success, that they're able to still feed themselves and their families.
Right.
I can't tell you the number of times I've had a conversation with a client or a prospective client who said, all right, look, I'm going to sell this. It's going to be the best thing ever. I'm going to do this. And I said, all right, let's talk about this because it costs you X and you're going to sell it for Y. And in order for you to make as much money as you're telling me you think you're going to make, which is what you have to make your mortgage and your, feed the kids, you have to sell, 1,000 of these a week. Is that going to work? And they're like, well, no. I said, okay, well, let's go back and talk about our numbers. Or, all right, now let's go call Rodney and figure out, So it is about making sure that our clients are setting themselves up for success.
Yep.
I really appreciate that look onto the inside of the business, right? Because it really demonstrates why it is so important that if you're an entrepreneur in this room, especially an entrepreneur in Eastern Kentucky, why it's so important to go to people that not only have resources and services for you, but actually are passionate about helping you and see it as something that is worth being in the grocery store and answering that text message. We were just joking before the start of the panel, but it's actually very true. I email Josh at all times, I email Tal at all times, and then I immediately regret it. Because they will respond to me at 10 o'clock at night, at 4 a.m. in the morning. I see Josh hitting the four fingers. It's a reflection of the passion and the energy and the dedication that we have for supporting our startups across Kentucky. And that's something really special to our state. I can't impress enough that in doing the work that I do, looking at states across the United States of America, interacting with those states, how much they comment on how dedicated Kentucky is about serving its entrepreneurs. And that's something that really sets us apart. It also sets up my next question, you all, and I gave a little bit of request to them to share it in the form of a success story, because I think it's really important to help visualize where you're going when you come to this group of great panelists and resource providers. Can you all share, what is the vision? what is the vision when it comes to small business in Eastern Kentucky? But what is, you can also answer it from the perspective of what is the vision of when that entrepreneur steps into your office, what you hope for them to achieve? And I'll actually kick that off with Amanda.
It's their vision, right? So we have to ask them what they want. We can't take their business and say, okay, you need to do X, Y, and Z. I need to find out what the client wants, because a client's version of success is going to be different than another client's version. Some people want to work 100 hours a week, others want to work 12. And what we do has to be focused on what our clients need and want. And keeping that picture in mind helps us figure out what we're going to do and how we're going to do it and why we're going to do it. Everyone's different. And that's what makes this fun, right?
Absolutely.
I love never doing the same thing twice.
For sure. Les, any success stories or vision for that entrepreneur?
I don't think I could say it any better than Amanda did in terms of just vision. Our client's success is their own, and it's both in terms of what they've been able to do and also what they've set out to do. I want to see our clients thriving, for whatever that means for them, whether that's the side gig that they're starting, whether that's being able to leave a full-time job to go into entrepreneurship full-time, whether that's able to set their current business up for succession to the next generation. Whatever that is, I am thrilled for that individual. Success stories in terms of individual clients, I'm just astounded every day at the success of a lot of our clients. It would be really difficult for me to say right now I'm thrilled with one over another. They're
individuals.
It's kind of like picking your favorite kid.
Right.
And I'm not going to do that on live stream because my kids will watch.
Absolutely. No, that makes complete sense. And it's good to understand that, if a business decides to continue to be small business, or if a business decides to scale, you all see that equally as a success.
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit more about that perspective, Rodney. Anything to share?
Truly, I'm with them. We start with the end in mind. Like for 4 or 5 years, I'm working with a client. I kind of get their perspective of where they want to be 4 or 5 years from now, and then we kind of work from that. Because what they think they want to see by the time I start putting numbers to it, and they see the effort that has to come from that, they may not want to be that way in 5 years from now. They may not have the ability to put the time in to get to that. Now, they may be able to do half, or something like that. But, we just really work with our clients at their pace. I tell them when I first started working with them, I work at your pace. If you want to do the business plan and knock this thing out in a week, we'll knock it out in a week. If you don't have the time to do that and you got a busy life with family and everything, and only can do 1 or 2 hours a week, we'll work at that pace. So we truly are, planning around what the client needs are. So.
That's fantastic. I really appreciate to know that, especially because sometimes entrepreneurs can be a little bit hesitant because they have a full-time job and then they got to take the kids to soccer, but they have this really big passion about this invention that they have. Sometimes they can mistake that they're not ready to have these conversations. And a lot of times, once you have that idea, you are ready to have the conversation. And it's because of the wonderful ecosystem of support that we have between your organizations, SOAR, and all of the wonderful entrepreneurship support organizations that we have in the house today and over at the exhibit hall. So before we go into Q&A, and this is your cue, audience, to take out your pen and paper, I want to make sure that for the entrepreneurs in the room, they know what's the right way to approach you all for assistance, and that they know how to approach you all for assistance. I think that's so important to end with because when it comes time for the exhibitor hall, we all go rushing to those awesome booths and get to try stuff and see people. So if you don't mind, Les, I'll start off with you. How would you like entrepreneurs to approach you for support, and what's some ways that they can get in contact?
Sure. Probably the easiest thing for most folks to do is to hit our website at mtassociation.org. That's MT as an abbreviation for mountain. And you can access there. Our loan application is there. Our application for business support services is on the website, as well as an application for access to our energy programs and to answer some of those questions there. But also, it's just got a really good breadth of stories about our work, information about what we do, and other resources as well that are outside of our organization to do that. I personally can be reached at les, at mtassociation.org, or in my office sometimes at 606-439-0170 for whatever that's worth. My office is here on Main Street. My wonderful colleague Amy Williams is here in the room, or at least was, and she over there, she is with our lending program in our Berea office. And so if you have questions about lending specifically, I would absolutely suggest you go talk to her. She's amazing. My colleague Emily was here earlier as well, and she's with our business support services program. So she's back in the back. If you've got a question about accessing those services, please go talk to her. And really just, I mean, I don't care how you do it. Come find me. Stop me in the grocery store. That's absolutely fine. And we'll talk.
I feel that about being in office sometimes because I promise I try to reach my desk, but there's so much going on across Kentucky. I enjoy it. Tell us how to get in touch with you, Amanda.
Absolutely. So our website is a great place to start, scadcorp.com. You'll find all of our contact information there. Honestly, I prefer phone calls or in person. I want to talk to you. I want to ask you questions. I want to get your feedback. I want to understand where you're at. So I try to be in the office as little as possible. So my cell phone is 606-416-2008. Call me. If, occasionally in the evenings I'm at some kind of practice or something and can't answer, but I will call you back. So text me, whatever, but let's talk.
Thank you. You all see what I mean about take out your pen and pad? Rodney, how can we get in touch with you?
Yeah, well, I'm the same way. We're about, you can register for services with us through KentuckySBDC.com. And you'll just see a little thing there that says become a client. And then if you're not from this area, you just kind of choose whichever office you want to work with or whatever office is closest to you. And then if we need to move you to someone else with a more specific talent to work with, then we can do that after we had some discussions. But I'm typically on the road most days. And if I'm not on the road, I'm like you all. I don't go to the office very much because I can do exactly what I do from my kitchen table. So I do a lot of work from my kitchen table. And I tell my clients, I said, I'm at home today. We're kind of working from there. But luckily, our type of services allows us to kind of work from anywhere. But that's where we're at. My office number is 606-401-0777. And it's rodney.cool at uky.eku, or edu, I'm sorry, uky.edu, sorry. I am an Eastern grad, so sorry. But I throw that out there. But I mean, and we, the same way as Amanda, we do like to meet in person. We've started probably about 6-7 months ago doing more in-person meetings with our clients. You can just get so much more done in person than you can via Zoom because you got to talk, then wait, then talk, then wait. And whereas we can just have a conversation and talk over each other and do all that stuff, it makes it so much more fun. But
I generally find that we save 5 to 10 minutes in every conversation by not having to say, I'm sorry, you're muted.
Yeah, or that. Yeah, that happens quite often. So, but that's how you can reach us at the SBDC.
That sounds great. And before I open up to a couple of questions from the audience, I have to plug some of the resources that are available for you across the state and on the state government level. But first, in your community, you have an awesome resource in shaping our Appalachian region, or SOAR. You can reach them at soar-ky.org. Do I have that right? I was looking at it this morning. Thank you, Josh. But also, Kentucky Innovation is a proud supporter of SOAR. I like to call our access to resources for entrepreneurs as threefold. One, in programs, wonderful programs like SOAR in the community, Kentucky Commercialization Ventures, which provides support to your public colleges and universities in Eastern Kentucky for innovation and entrepreneurship. I'll also say the second one is access to tax credits. As your business is growing, we have resources for you at the state level, and we want to deploy those resources in your communities. Whether it is you're getting trying to get access to lending capital, or you are growing and hiring people and buying equipment, I want to give you some tax credits. You can find out about that information at kyinnovation.com, or you can send me an email. My email is constantly blowing up because I'm very open about my email address. It is monique.quarterman@ky.gov. I have a beyond fantastic team that can get you connected to everything that's available for you through the state. But then the third part is stories. Stories and examples of how these great organizations are continuing to serve this region and continuing to serve Kentucky every day. We support a publication called Kentucky Inno. It also covers the Eastern Kentucky region. Please follow it. It is free to access, and you will see a story coming up soon about Startup Appalachia. That was a great event last night, so much fun. Please look at Kentucky Inno in order to follow these wonderful stories coming out of these organizations. And Middle Tech Podcast, that is a regional organization that focuses on telling stories from the Midwest and the Mid-South in general. I cannot impress how important it is to recognize that Kentucky is in a position of leadership in innovation and entrepreneurship in our nation, and a lot of that is due to the wonderful support services provided by this panel today and others in the audience. I'm just so grateful for you coming out. Thank you to the sponsors for the SOAR Focus Summit. We are so excited about more resources coming to community and seeing all of the wonderful businesses that are popping up and thriving in their way in this community. Thank you. And with that, we will start with some questions and answers. Please raise your hand so we can get you a microphone if you have any questions for our awesome panel.
Don't be shy. If the question's too hard, we'll make Amanda answer it.
Thank you, Les. Thank you.
Any questions? We weren't that awesome, were we?
I don't think so.
While y'all are all fighting over who gets to ask the first question, I do want to give a shout out. Robert Coffey is here with us. I believe he's still in the room.
Awesome.
He's back there in the back.
With the state director for SBA. And I know, to be honest, we couldn't do half the work that we do at Mountain Association without the support and friendship of the Small Business Administration and
Yes.
Robert and his team specifically. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Robert. We have our first question. Thank you so much.
Maggie.
So my question might be a little more specific, but Amanda, you were talking about some of like the training opportunities. So in my mind, I'm thinking about folks that are already, entrepreneurs that are established,
Yep.
that own small businesses, primarily in our downtown area. Because part of my position is to help those business owners succeed. So one of the things I started thinking about, and my question is, do you all ever, if we were to be able to get a group of entrepreneurs together, or small business owners, offer that training service for them? So for example, if I had a merchant meeting,
Yeah.
whereby, you could come and speak
Yes.
to them. Okay.
Yes, we do. Pre-COVID, we used to do a lot of in-person training. We're starting to get back to where we're actually going in person. With the BBOS program, we come with a big tub of laptops so they can actually work on all of their stuff during class, and we can be there to walk them through it. So yeah, if you want to get a group together to where we can come, and we usually teach about 4 classes, 3 hours each, over the course of 4 weeks to get all of this content in. But if they want specific, if they just want to focus on social media, we can do it just on social media. Or if they just want websites, we can do that. We're super flexible, and we love getting back in person. So absolutely, all you got to do is call me.
Awesome. Thank you.
And in many ways, that's the ideal scenario. There's so much we can do to get to find the right people and the people that need the help that we can offer. When there are folks in the community in a role supporting a downtown merchant group or Chamber of Commerce or whatever, finding somebody in the community who has that group of people that knows these are folks that are committed, that really need this help, that are really invested in advancing themselves or their businesses, and can bring that cohort to us. Frankly, there's not much we can't do to support stuff like that. Access to those trainings and things. That's you practically built a class.
Right, that's best case.
Yeah.
I mean, I would much rather have somebody in the community say, look, these folks need help, come talk to them.
Great question.
Uh-oh. Is anybody else worried?
Nope. 'Cause I already
Amanda's
said
afraid I'm going to brag on her because I do all the time, but I do want to thank you all for being here. But one thing I wanted to point out, if you're an entrepreneur, if you've been in business 15 years, doesn't matter. There's never a bad time to develop a relationship with these people. Each of them do things in a glorious fashion. Rodney is one of the best at developing a business plan, and everyone needs some form of a business plan. Even if you're successful, there are ways to become more successful, to recognize more opportunities and everything. And of course, it's always good to have a friendly banker. And CDFIs are friendly bankers.
Yes.
They're not bound by some of the rules that conventional loan institutions are. And if you don't know these people, you need to. Doesn't matter what stage you're in. And I think that's a key point. A lot of people think, well, hey, I don't need a loan. You don't need to wait till you need a loan to be prepared to get one.
Right.
Yeah.
And we work with each other, but we also work really closely with SOAR. And I can't tell you how many clients Tal has sent me, how many clients I've sent Tal, because I know it's hard to believe, but I don't know everything. So there are times that I have to send stuff to other people but it's all about the network. It's about understanding who's really good at what, and being willing to give the entrepreneurs the best resources for them.
Absolutely. That's a really great point, Amanda. I like to point out as well and tell people often across the state, there's no better time in Kentucky's history to go ahead and start in business in Kentucky. I mean, having the first and second largest economic development deals in our state's history has brought so much attention on our state. There's just so much opportunity to grow and so much expectation to grow and so many things that are coming to the state and coming to this region. If you have an idea and you're waiting on that message or moment that just speaks to you that it's time to pursue it, this is that moment. This is your sign. Go ahead and start. It doesn't mean to quit everything you have going on. It doesn't mean to empty the bank account and throw it into this big idea. What it means is start by giving a call to this group. Start by saying, I'm going to set aside 1 hour or 2 hours on a Saturday just to put something on paper to make my idea a little bit more real. It's these marathon stories that really result in the best success, in my opinion. I've heard a wonderful story from an entrepreneur in Kentucky that pre-pandemic, he was raising funds for a product, and it was a chemical-based product. When the pandemic hit and the supplier system started acting up, of course, it put him in a really hard situation where he was looking at having to let go of some employees. Well, he used his network in Kentucky to quickly pivot his facilities to produce hand sanitizer. And it was that hand sanitizer production in Kentucky that kept his doors open and kept his employees employed for that critical time. And let me tell you, they bounced back as well. When the supplier issue he was experiencing was done, he was able to jump on the wonderful interest from venture capital across the nation in Kentucky, and they are growing their original product more so than ever before. these are the things that really illustrate how important it is to have a networking community that is there to support you. I'm so excited for you, entrepreneurs in Eastern Kentucky, to have wonderful resources like this and resources across the state. If you're thinking about it, this is your sign.
One thing, Monique, I just want to add real quick. So I'm an action kind of guy. You know, we've given you information here. The best thing you can do to help is go back to your communities and let people know that these resources are available. And if you're trying to start a business and you think you're going to have to do it by yourself, you're not connected to the right people just yet, because when you work with me, believe me, you don't just work with me. We've got teams of people, we got partners with people. And so anytime more than probably ever in our history, do you have pretty much unlimited resources right now. You know, state governments and federal governments has pumped in a lot of money into lots of different programs to help small businesses get through and manage through getting through this, plus starting new businesses. So, you know, I would encourage you, go back, talk to your chamber, talk to the economic development people, you know, talk to the bankers in your area and say, hey, you got this resource? Because there's a lot of times I talk to bankers, they don't even know that we exist. I mean, we're quasi-government, so I don't have a marketing budget. I mean, it would be nice. I don't have, but I really depend on these partners and other people that I reach to with word of mouth for us, because we don't have that really, you know, large marketing part for our services.
Great point, Rodney. Thank you so much. And with that, I will go ahead and conclude, starting with thanking our awesome round of panelists. Let's give a round of applause.
Just real quick,
Oh, yes,
I just
please,
want to let you know
Josh.
that you got a card on your chair. So if you're from a community and you're trying to figure out, okay, there's all of these resources, right? Where do I start? How do I go through all these? That's what our SOAR Business and Innovation team is really here to do. So we're in your communities, and we're walking clients through this process. So we're working with these partners and others. So we've got a QR code on the back of this. You can download our complete guide to entrepreneurship. That's a great document that kind of gets really tangible piece-by-piece steps, and it includes all of our technical assistance providers. So if you're in a community or you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to figure out, okay, this is all great resources, but oh my God, where do I start? Start with our team, and we begin to listen and really work as case managers, walking entrepreneurs and existing business owners through the process and connecting them to the appropriate resource like the ones that are up here today. So just wanted to throw in a shameless plug, Monique. Is
Yes,
that okay?
thank you. Let's hear it for SOAR, you all. Thank you so much. And with that, we will adjourn, and looking forward to the next activities for day 2 of SOAR Summit. Thank you to our sponsors, our panelists, and all of you for joining us today.